Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get yourself all the codes you need there, and you can also get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we're going to be looking at the deck that I've constructed from the draft that we did just a couple of days ago. And we'll see the deck that I've been able to come up with. I think it was pretty obvious early on. I found myself a Rain Dance Magnezone, so I pretty much tunnel visioned down that sort of route. But we've picked up quite a few interesting sort of stage ones and stuff going on in the list, and we have plenty of interesting trainers to discuss as well. So yeah, the core is very much going to be try and get Magnetic Circuit online. In order to do that, I've got a good amount of opening basic Pokemon. I'm really happy with my basics. They are all chunky. Dedenne being the smallest basic with 70 hit points, not too bad, especially because it already has the entrainment attack. So in many ways, Dedenne is the best starter. But all these other ones are absolutely fine. I can do one attachment attacks with Raikou and Circuitry. Coco is fairly quick to get rolling, and he's the one with the highest damage output as a basic, other than Pikachu EX, which is kind of the outlier. Obviously, in Mutant, you are allowed to evolve out of Pikachu EX into a single prize Pokemon, which can be pretty cool. So I can go for like a big Overspark play, and then like evolve into a Raichu on top of that or something later down the line, which could be cool. But overall, Pikachu EX will be a nice sort of bomb that I can drop late game and just blow stuff up with, which is going to be really sweet. So I like the sort of raw damage output that things like Raikou, Circuitry, Tapu Koko, they can all put out. You know, 90, 100, 120, these are all very decent numbers for putting pressure on people, at least two-shotting, stage 2s, and, you know, Coco doing that 120 is probably going to deal with a bunch of stage 1s, which is going to be really strong, I think. Especially when I have Expert Belt at my disposal, I can definitely make these guys tanky and awkward to deal with. I even have Acerola in here, so these high base hit points are really going to come in clutch for me, I think. So trying to keep it simple, trying to keep that sort of basic rush approach available to me, I think is going to be important. Even before I get to the Magnezone, I have some great stage 1s at my disposal. Electric offering Dynamotor for earlier acceleration than Magnetic Circuit is always great. We have that Raichu, which has Powerful Spark. So that means I can commit energies all around my board and then just have one energy on the active Raichu, which is still putting in good damage output with Powerful Spark, which I think is going to be solid for sure. And I also have Magnetic Draw Electrode, just for a little bit of extra help drawing a few cards. So interestingly enough, 2 of our stage 1s will reduce our hit points from evolving a lot of the time, so it's a small interaction that we have to bear in mind. But a lot of the time, these will be just launch pads towards that Magnezone. What I think about Electric and Electrode especially is that I'll use them on like turns 2 and 3, but as soon as I find Magnezone, I won't think twice about putting him into play because Magnetic Circuit is insane. Rain Dance is crazy good in Cube. It lets you retreat around a bunch of your guys freely. It allows you to power up your next attacker really easily as well. So you have a constant stream of pressure going as soon as you hit that Magnezone, which is sweet. It also has 150 hit points, which is pretty big. Zap Cannon 130, also pretty decent attack. So I can use him as an attacking presence as well if I really need to. So that is the core. We very much have a lightning core. I started off, if you guys didn't see the draft, I started off picking up a couple of speculative like basics early on. I think it was like the Circuitry and the Raikou. And then, like, within the first round of packs, I think, I found this Magnezone. It was either the first or second round of packs where I saw this card, and I was like, okay, there's the direction. We're going Magnetic Circuit. And because I found this card so early, I could draft really towards this the entire time, which is why you're seeing a Starmie on here, because not soon after, I found Space Beacon. Space Beacon gives Rain Dance so much value. I can just discard a card, go ahead and get 2 energies from the discard and put them straight into my hand. I can just start rain dancing them wherever I like. So this Starmie, again, like I said, you're able to retreat around stuff quite freely. You're able to get attachments all over the place and be very flexible with this sort of deck. And Starmie is the main reason why that's going to come together, because I'm going to continually have a flow of energies, which is pretty sweet. So just a 1-1 Starmie line, even though it is super important. I'm pretty happy with the basic that I got. Again, it's a chunky basic, so I'm hopefully never going to get like benched out by people just in opening turns, because we have so much raw hit points on basically all of our starters. I think things like Jirachi, which can draw us cards, or Chatot, which can draw us cards, are our lowest hit point basics, which are all pretty like okay overall. Obviously, Lapras has a small upside with Go for a Swim, where I can rearrange the top 2 cards of my deck, which is kind of okay, I guess. But yeah, Starmie's going to be coming into play and just space beaconing throughout the entire game. Other stuff we got here, a 1/1 Zoroark line. Sableye again, very helpful card. Excavating can just get rid of jank in our top decks. Whilst we're just waiting to get Zoroark, that can also help out with status conditions, standing in and sort of nullifying that effect. But Mind Jack is a crazy, crazy powerful attack on a stage 1 for sure. Definitely one of my highest damage output Pokemon is via Mind Jack. And keeping my opponent in check the entire game, just threatening that ability is going to be pretty sweet. So I think Zoroark is going to be a super good 1/1 line. Definitely worth making the spaces in the list for. We have our draw engine mainly coming from the metal and colorless stuff here. Although I'm just playing lightning energies, we have a bunch of different types going on. You know how good Pidgeotto air mailing is every turn. Night Sight as well, getting a free card. Both of these stage 1s are really good to get some early hand advantage. We've got Chatot G, which can offer search and escape if we have sort of got to hit that panic button if we're just lacking a supporter in hand, which is cool. Disruptive Spy, just, as we're putting down this Chatot, we get a bit of extra value, which can be nice for hand disrupting our opponents. Disrupting their top decks at least. And Shining Arceus, super crazy card actually. I'm surprised this is even in the draft, and it's probably going to be a card I try to abuse a lot. Ultimate Arrow doing 30 to each of my opponent's Pokemon on something with 130 hit points is pretty nuts. It is really good amount of damage. If I can just be the person getting my evolutions on board quicker than my opponent, I can just spam Shining Arceus a lot. I have Buddy Buddy Rescue, I have Trump card, so I can try and just spam Arceus a lot. I have a good amount of Ball Search also, so trying to get early Magnezone and some massive high roll payoff comes with it if I can Shining Arceus and be aggressive, but this is still just a launch pad for draw at the end of the day. But if I want to use him as an attacking presence, that's certainly an option for me. I've then got this mini metal package going on. Now, Metagross is both metal and lightning type, so it can also evolve from any of these lower evolutions here. So that makes him a really accessible card for my deck exactly because we have essentially like 7 basics and then 4 stage 1s that can then be the means of getting into Metagross. And this is our best draw engine. Delta Control allows us to look at the top 4 cards of our deck, choose one and put it into our hand, and then put the other 3 on the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's like using a trainer's mail almost, but way more versatile because I can pick any card from the top 4. So very, very strong ability. Cherry picking from the top 4, always nice. It's better than hand advantage because it's like a mini tutor effect, which is super good. It does have the Crush and Burn attack, which I don't have the access to use in my main deck, but in this cube exactly, there's side decking going on. So Crush and Burn can be a decent like blowout sort of attack if Pikachu EX has gone missing or if I can't risk using him. This can be a single prize kind of card that can also have some big damage output because it's unlimited damage cap. It's 30 plus 20 more for each energy that I discard from all of my Pokemon in play. So it can be a good like late game finisher kind of card. The main reason I was happy to put this Metagross in though was because I was really happy to put Bronzong in as my stage 1. Metal Fortress preventing all effects of your opponent's attacks, including damage done to your bench Pokemon. Now, I couldn't find any Mew or Mr. Mime in the draft. I don't think there even are Mr. Mime or Mew in the draft. So getting this stage 1 means of protecting our bench is going to be really important, I think. Obviously, I never want Magnezone to get touched. Pidgeotto has low hit points. Starmie, another super important card for me. So a lot of my value is going to just be with stage 1 sitting on the bench, and trying to protect that the entire time is going to be Bronzong. And another great thing is that he's obviously a non-GX, and a one-prize Pokemon, and I'm using Jirachi EX in here. So ball searching out Jirachi EX, getting that supporter to get myself rolling is going to be great, and I can mitigate the fact that it gives up 2 prize cards by simply evolving it into a Bronzong and then hopefully a Metagross later on. So it's trying to cover the issues of having 2 prizes. So I am playing two prize Pokemon in Pikachu and Jirachi EX, and I also play Expert Belt, so a lot of additional prizes are available for my opponent at times, so evolving out of these in critical moments will be important. So I like having the Jirachi EX. I got a lot of Ball Search, like I said earlier. I've got some nice turn 1 supporters. I got things like Sycamore. I got Lynette's Net Search. So Jirachi is going to be a really important card if I can find that early. And then Wishing Star Jirachi. This is really similar to Stellar Wish Jirachi, but it can be any card in your top 5, which is pretty insane. I wasn't able to get many switching cards. I only got a U-turn board and a Tate and Liza, so I'll usually just be chilling with this Jirachi and just napping and getting value from it, because there's not too much reason to do anything else with this card, but it can definitely just be a great basic that I can lead out with and get some, make sure I'm consistent and whatnot. So yeah, this Jirachi is pretty nice for being another like evolution stepping stone as well. That's what's really insane about Mutant Draft. All of these like basics, they all serve purposes, but then they also become a stepping stone, which is pretty sweet as well. And that's one of the reasons why Mutant's so cool, because every single card is interesting in the entire deck, really. Onto the items. Like I said, I got 3 Ball Search cards, and that's actually quite a lot for the draft itself. I don't think many other people will have many more than me ever. Especially when Dual Ball and Master Ball are both insane, because they can get me Jirachi EX. Quick Ball as well, a little bit awkward for me, but I do, play the odds and have a lot of lightnings in here. So I'll usually try and find a decent... I mean, like, the chances are I hit a basic, and the chances are it's going to be, a lightning Pokemon at the same time as well. So Quick Ball, hopefully going to be good, just for making sure I set up pretty nicely. Buddy Buddy Rescue for reloading some of these big basics that I'm going to try and spam with my magnetic circuits, or trying to get back something that's been poached. That can be important. Compressor, obviously a nice card when I'm playing Eel, and it can thin out some other pieces for me. Maybe if some evolutions... Like, I can definitely foresee my board getting quite clogged. I feel like I won't ever have both Noctowl and Pidgeotto in play at the same time, because I'll probably also want Starmie, I'll probably also want Zoroark. There'll be times when stuff's prized, and I'll just compress those things away. Compressor just in general is a really, really good card. I really value it in Cube, even though we play a lot of one-offs, and even though I play Trump card, I feel like Compressor can still just really help make the deck a little bit more fluid. I am playing a Spinner just because it's a deck thinning card instead of just a physical 14th energy, which is always fine, and I can have those high roll moments. I am playing Windstorm. Garbodor is actually a card in this cube, so trying to remove a Garb tool can be nice. Also, it's just contesting the Stadium War that little bit more. There were some very powerful tools and stadiums in this draft. There were things like Life Dew. There was like Bursting Balloon. There was a bunch of different awkward tools out there that I don't really want to deal with. Even things like Poison Barb can be tricky sometimes, so windstorming those away, going to be important. And I'm only playing one stadium. I'd like it to sort of stay in play as long as possible, so having Windstorm to bounce opposing stadiums is pretty nice. I also, in my side deck, have Wondrous Labyrinth, so having Quarry plus Windstorm could potentially mean I run my opponent out of stadium cards, and then I can drop the Labyrinth, and it'll be more painful for them than for us, because we have Rain Dance on our side, and hopefully the opponent won't have as good acceleration. For tools, U-turn board, obviously good just for reducing a retreat cost, and Expert Belt just for increasing that damage output and hit points, trying to make our big basics bigger, or make things like Magnezone start hitting things like 150, which is going to be really intimidating for a bunch of other Stage 2s out there. So yeah, Belt is obviously a very, very good card. I can even put it on Pikachu EX if I need that extra burst to make him more of a finisher. Quarry is pretty much like a backup until I find my Starmie, or even in conjunction with Starmie, I can flip a coin just to get lightning energies back from the discard pile. So a little bit of extra value. I think I'm the only one drafting lightning. I didn't see many people drafting much metal. There's also a metal version of the Magnezone, so someone else could be playing Metal Rain Dance. But I think overall this stadium obviously benefits me more than my opponents, and it's going to be nice just to have a backup until I find Starmie, because it's just a 1-1 line. Or if like that's prized or whatever else, it's just more options to recover energies to make sure we can have enough throughout the entire game. And I'm playing 13 Lightning. It should be plenty just to see early, discard with Compressor as well if I want to. We have Eel, we have Magnezone, so basically there's never a place where Lightning Energy is going to be bad. So yeah, always pretty good to have a good number of these. And I can always trump card if I want to get some, like a mass amount of Lightning Energies back. Again, if things like Starmie flops and whatever, getting all these back at once is going to be pretty sweet. So supporters will round things out. I'm pretty happy with my selection. Like I said, when I play Jirachi EX, it's nice that I have a turn 1 Pokemon search in Lynette's Net Search, even though it does require me to get different types of Pokemon. I'm playing, 5 different types, so that shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage. Sycamore, obviously insane, if I can do that turn 1. Juggler is a surprisingly strong card. It can be a draw 5 by discarding 2 energies, which is synergistic with my deck anyway, so that's pretty strong. N as well, if I can just Jirachi for N at the right time, obviously going to be strong. Giovanni for some extra damage buff. Trump card, obviously a big deal. Acerola as well can be really good for basically buying a turn back off the opponent, especially again in conjunction with that Expert Belt. I can make something pretty tanky, Acerola back all that damage, and basically gain a free turn because I can just rain dance a bunch of stuff back into play at once. So yeah, pretty insane. Island Hermit is the only real way that I can look at prize cards, and that's going to be one of the downsides, I think, of this list right now, because I play a lot of 1/1 lines. Obviously, that's just the nature of Cube, that you have Singleton the entire time. But when I'm playing so many 1/1 importance, stage 1, and even, just the one of Magnezone, yes, we have the backup Electric, but man, you want to access that as quickly as possible because that's what really makes the deck tick. So having Island Hermit to try and at least look at those prizes and then start taking them as and when is going to be important. But I think I still have a good amount of backup acceleration, like Raikou accelerates, Electric accelerates, so I should have enough early pressure where I can start accessing prizes as soon as I find this Hermit to pick out the right cards, which is going to be nice. Everything else, pretty standard draw. So yeah, nothing too crazy. I also think Castaway is really good for grabbing that Expert Belt for the right times. I've mentioned that card a lot, and it is like a really big swing card. It's not quite Muscle Band, but it's definitely going to be strong in the draft for sure. So here's the list. That's what I'm going to have pulled up whenever I have my games. So when I'm doing my deck searches and stuff, I'll see all of this next to me, and yeah, it counts to 60, right? And like I mentioned earlier, there's side decking in this draft. This is going to be my 3-card side deck that I have on me at all times that I'm able to sub in if I need to for any of the cards in my 60. Wondrous Labyrinth, going to be super important if my opponent is not playing Energy Acceleration. If there's something like a fighting deck, they're just a 1 energy attachment a turn kind of deck a lot of the time. A lot of different archetypes will just be 1 turn attachment at a time, and the Labyrinth obviously going to be strong against those. Illimer, if I want some additional hand disruption, I only have 1 copy of N for hand disruption right now, and I can't recover that N unless I trump card. So Illimer being additional hand disruption if my opponent is playing sort of supporters that get them large hand sizes, or if they're playing like abilities from Pokemon that just helps them grow hand sizes a lot, like Diving Draw, stuff like that. Illimer could be a nice include. And there's also that Holland's Magneton. It can serve as an extra evolution piece to work towards my Metagross, but also it's what lets us attack with things like Metagross, Bronzong, Lapras, Starmie, those sorts of attackers, if I need to have that different type coverage, because things like Ice Beam, that's really good if I'm hitting for weakness and stuff, so and the Lapras is like a big basic, so if I'm up against fire, I might just throw in the Holland's Magneton just over like a regular basic energy, giving myself that option to use some of these splash attackers, because Crush and Burn can be a nice finishing card. I basically was thinking for all of these 3 cards that are in my side deck, they were literally like 61st cards, all of them. And I was like, well, maybe something like underperforms in my list, and I can always just like side deck games 2 and 3, Illimer and Wondrous Labyrinth, and basically pretend they're like my main deck if something doesn't work out, if the trump card's being useless, if Compressor's not working out how I'd like it to, if one of my like evolution lines isn't working out, whatever. If like U-turn boards are useless space, sometimes that can happen. Like you build something in theory and then it just doesn't work out on paper. So having this side deck is gonna be really nice. I can only do it on games 2 and 3, but it'll hopefully like improve the deck for certain matchups. So I think these are like techy enough for different situations where they'll be stronger than just regular basic energies and stuff. But I can quite easily side deck these cards in. But yeah, that's the list that I'm working with, guys. Let me know how you think I'm gonna do with the draft. Were there any things that you were frustrated that I passed up on that could have made this deck stronger? The draft itself was actually super weird. I said I got pretty lucky with getting this Magnezone early, but then we got super unlucky in that 3 Magnazones turned up in a pack very, very late on in the game, and I saw that pack first, which made it even worse because I had to prioritize like a better supporter or trainer card in that pack, and I had to leave 3 Magnazones behind, which is pretty insane. I think overall I got a good chunk of the lightning stuff, but there's such thick lines of all these evolutions that I wouldn't be surprised if we see lightning played by other players. I think Magnazone Prime was a card that I passed up on as well, even, which is a super strong card, by the way. But I just had to take other things at the time. So, yeah, pretty nutty stuff. I'm hoping this deck is going to be powerful enough and works often enough. I think if there's anything that I'm concerned about, it is just that, like, my early draw is just based on supporters, because I have Magnetic Draw and I have Airmail basically as my only real means of draw early on. So I'm hoping my high hit points can see me through those sort of teething turns, and I can just build up into the big guy, and then the deck starts flowing really well. So it's going to be all around trying to find this one-off card in my entire deck. I don't have enough real tutor. My only real tutoring is things like Misty's Determination, Sages, where I have some control of what I'm looking at, but most of this is like shuffle draw. So trying to grab this guy is going to be a little bit awkward. I think that's where I'm kind of concerned. Like, there's a lot of pressure on this one Master Ball, basically. Find Master Ball and get into draw power, or get into the actual guy himself and see how it goes. But yeah, that's going to be the list, guys. Hope you did enjoy, and I hope you're rooting for me for the Cube League. I'll be getting into some games periodically throughout the month, I think. Yeah, just based on scheduling with all these other guys. Obviously, I'm in the UK, and a lot of the other guys are from the US, so it's trying to get that scheduling down, but it should be all good. And also, don't forget that I will be doing all the usual uploads soon again. I've just been trying to practice a bunch of greens decks, because I want to do a bunch of greens decks for the channel, but I'm not happy enough with either the lists or how I'm playing them. But that's something that I'm going to work on myself. And I've been playing them a bunch on stream and stuff, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow.